to the summary of How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. Let's uncover the gems together. Key point 1. Worry will steer your life if you allow it. How often do you sit down and allow your mind to wander? Do you let yourself start overthinking? Do you then start worrying about what happened in the past, feeling bad about it, and panicking about what may come in the future? You likely check your phone 96 times a day. But when did you last spend 96 seconds actually living in the present moment? These are all common issues in the modern day. We spend time living in the past or future, yet we forget to enjoy the here and now. Dale Carnegie understood this from a very early age, and his teachings ring true even today, perhaps even more so than before. Today, we're more connected than ever, but we're also more stressed than ever. If you're someone who struggles with overthinking or worrying about what might happen, understanding how to put the brakes on and learning to live in the moment will be hugely positive for you. Of course, we could all benefit from this, but some certainly more than others. The benefits of kicking worry out of your life are truly far-reaching. Not only will you notice the joy around you, but you'll also develop stronger relationships due to not constantly being dragged down by fear and worry. Dale Carnegie's advice has never been more pertinent than it is today. And by taking it all on board and creating a plan to free yourself, you'll notice that your life feels lighter, happier, and ultimately healthier. Let's start redefining our lives. Key point 2. Banish your worries by living in the moment. One of the main reasons for worry and stress is that we're no longer living in the moment. We're either lamenting something that happened in the past or becoming stressed about something that hasn't even happened yet or may never happen. Dale Carnegie explains the idea first brought about by Sir William Osier, a professor of medicine, teaching us to live in day-tight compartments. It means you should only live in a compartment that's firmly in the here and now. To visualize this, let's imagine your mind as a ship with watertight compartments. When one compartment gets damaged, the others stay sealed and safe. Of course, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't begin to plan for tomorrow, but the best way to do that is to live to the best of your ability today to create opportunities for the future. When you focus on the tasks you have now, you can do better and prevent further anxiety. Most people don't realize that the power to control our thoughts is in our own hands. Good thinking is positive and causes us to plan constructively, but lousy reflection leads to stress, tension, and the possibility of a nervous breakdown. Instead, why not focus on living your life today until bedtime and not think further than that? So here's your new mantra. I have enough energy for today. Tomorrow can wait. Dale Carnegie gives the example of a lady who became desperate and almost suicidal after her husband's death. Everything changed when she learned to live in the moment, looking no further than bedtime. She heard the words, "Every day is a new life to a wise man," which completely altered her life. If you want to program your brain for that shift, write down 3 things that went well today before you go to sleep, no matter how small. This practice trains your brain to focus on what's actually happening rather than what might happen. Did you know? 2016 Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation research shows that around 275 million people suffer from anxiety. Key point 3. A 3-step guide to waving worries away. Banishing your worries could be as simple as applying the 3-step guide given to Dale Carnegie by Willis H. Carrier, the famous engineer. Here's how it works. First, analyze the situation before deciding on the worst possible outcome. Not your imagination's horror movie version, but the real, possible worst case. For example, imagine the worst case scenario if you were to lose your job. Then, accept that scenario and keep it in perspective. Losing your job won't be good, but you can always get another. The magic begins when you truly accept it, as fear loses its power over you. Lastly, improve that worst-case scenario by reframing it with a positive. We mentioned that if you lose your job, you can get a new one, but you can also get a better one. Perhaps one you enjoy more or one with better pay. The worst case scenario is very rare. However, understanding how to overcome it helps you feel more confident. Now, let's talk about health. In many cases, we focus so much on medical issues, such as smallpox and other diseases, giving immunizations and raising awareness. Still, you rarely hear about the significant health risks of worry and anxiety. Worry can cause stomach ulcers, which, if left untreated, can be fatal, arthritis and rheumatism, tooth decay, an overactive thyroid, possibly leading to total burnout, high blood pressure affecting the heart. Worry can manifest itself in physical symptoms, which severely harm your health while damaging your mental health at the same time. That's exactly why we must do everything we can to eliminate it at its root. Key point 4. Face your worries and analyze them for clarity of mind. Learning how to analyze your worries will give you a clearer mind, and in the end, you will realize there is nothing to spend time worrying about. Carnegie gives an example of one of Asia's most successful business people. He puts his success down to the ability to analyze his worries because it allows him to examine the reason for his fears. To do this, he uses a similar model to the one we mentioned. Identify the problem, identify the cause of the problem, come up with a list of possible solutions for that problem, and then shortlist them down to the best one. Being strategic in your thinking helps you to overcome any eventuality. Of course, it's always challenging to think clearly when your mind is worrying and you can't focus on one thing. By taking the time to calm down and be methodical, you have a much greater chance of not only deciding upon a course of action, but the correct one, which will bring you the most remarkable outcome available. Moving on, let's explore another way to stop rumination and worry. You can try to fill your mind with other things so there is no space for the anxiety to seep in. It may sound obvious, but psychology tells us that no mind on earth can focus on more than one thing at a time. That means you won't spend time dwelling on the worry if you stay busy and fill your mind with other things. Stay busy, keep making plans, and you won't have space in your brain for worries. Most of our worries seem huge in the moment, but when we look back at them, we realize that we spent a lot of time worrying about insignificant things. Imagine worries are like house fires in our imagination. They seem catastrophic until we step outside and realize it was just smoke from burned toast. Key point 5. The ultimate question. What are the chances? Ask yourself what the chances are that the event or thing you're worried about will happen. You'll probably realize that most of the things we worry about have very slim odds of actually occurring in real life. We spend far too much time worrying about what never comes to pass. As a child, Dale Carnegie was terrified of thunderstorms, being struck by lightning, and being buried alive. Years later, he realized how ridiculous those fears were because, according to the law of averages, it was highly unlikely to happen. We can eliminate an overwhelming number of worries by putting them into perspective and asking ourselves whether they have any chance of really happening. We should also learn to accept what we can't change and adjust to things as they are. If something adverse happens, the human ability to adapt and survive is terrific. We tend to spend too much time and effort on things that aren't worth it. This is certainly the case with worry when we continue to think about and review a situation, becoming increasingly nervous about it. Instead, we should ask, how much worry is it worth? At what point do we need to stop worrying and accept the situation as it is? When you find yourself in a cycle of worry and anxiety, stop and ask where your stop-loss point is, i.e., at what point do you stop worrying and let it go? By giving every worry a limitation, you're not allowing it to control you and become a vast, swirling mass of anxiety. And Dale Carnegie also has this beautiful truth for us. One of the most tragic things I know about human nature is that all of us tend to put off living. Key point 6. Changing your attitude will help you move toward happiness. Happiness is a choice. Worry is also a choice because we can change our thoughts and therefore banish worry if we work hard enough. By changing your mindset toward a happier setting, you dismiss worry and give it less chance to enter your future thoughts. There are some valuable ways to create a mindset that is happier and more peaceful. Choose positivity over negativity. Marcus Aurelius, a famous philosopher of the Roman Empire, said, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." If you think of fearful ideas and thoughts, your life will be full of fear. If you think of happy thoughts, your life will be happier. Control your negative thoughts and turn them into positives. Forget your enemies. Holding grudges and trying to get even with old adversaries does nothing but give the power back to them. You lose sleep, become nervous, your blood pressure rises, and the list continues. Your enemies don't deserve this power. Don't expect gratitude. Being grateful is not a natural human trait. It has to be taught and learned. If you live your life expecting others to be grateful for what you do for them and then become angry when they don't, you will live a life of disappointment. Count your blessings. Dale Carnegie tells us about a businessman who lost everything. He was walking down the street feeling defeated when he came across a man who had lost his legs. From that point on, the man realized he had more than he thought. Always count your blessings. Just be yourself. Your exact combination of experiences, talents, and perspectives has never existed before and will never exist again. Why would you waste that uniqueness trying to be a copy of someone else? Don't try and fit in, and don't feel bad about the way you look or the things you can't do. Instead, just be yourself. Do good deeds for others. By doing something good for someone else every day, you make yourself feel better, you make them feel better, and you foster a positive and upbeat attitude. There's actual neuroscience behind this. When you help others, your brain releases oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin, nature's own happiness cocktail. Remember that nobody can upset you or disturb your time unless you allow them to do so. Key point 7. Is criticism a backhanded compliment? When we receive criticism from others, whether just or unjust, it's easy to retreat backward, feeling negative about it and starting to worry. It's important to realize that unfair criticism is a backhanded compliment. When someone criticizes you without reason, it's because you are doing something that makes you stand out, or you're achieving something that makes people stand up and take notice. Ultimately, criticism shouldn't bother you as long as you are doing the best you can. As Dale Carnegie said, nobody kicks a dead dog. Of course, some criticism can be positive and constructive, giving us a platform to learn. Dale Carnegie keeps a folder called FTD, Footings I Have Done. In this, he writes the things he's done that he feels pessimistic about. He reads it on occasion and uses the information to learn. Remember that nobody will help you when you don't feel motivated. However, you might sometimes experience unfounded criticism, daily nervousness, or a bad mood, and the reason for this may be surprising. It could be about your sleeping patterns. Insomnia is a huge problem today, but worrying about not sleeping can be an even bigger one. Ultimately, everyone needs a certain amount of sleep, with some requiring more. When you worry about not sleeping, you make the situation even more challenging. Carnegie tells us about a student who struggled with insomnia, concentrating on the clock and becoming even more stressed as time went on. They went to the doctor, who told them that if they wanted to overcome it, they had to stop worrying about it and realize that they were getting rest regardless of whether they were asleep. So, if you can't sleep, try this. Get up and read until you feel tired. Don't worry about not sleeping. It will not hurt you. Relax your mind and body. Do some exercise to tire yourself out physically. Try prayer if that works for you. Key point 8. banishing mental and emotional fatigue. Studies have shown that the brain rarely gets tired from physical activity or mental work, but becomes fatigued and exhausted by emotional worries. Respected psychiatrist J.A. Hadfield said, "The greater part of the fatigue from which we suffer is the mental origin. In fact, exhaustion of purely physical origin is rare." Therefore, Dale Carnegie suggests regular rest to help overcome fatigue and build mental resistance to worry and unhelpful emotions. You should also identify what makes you feel tired and sad and work out your worry triggers. Doing this can negate them in your life, or at least reduce your exposure to them. Focusing on downtime is also vital, so make sure you create space in your life for chilling out, stretching, relaxing, exercising, and building up a tight social circle to relieve stress. Within this, you can learn how to work more innovatively to help reduce fatigue at work and give you more time when you get home to focus on the fun things in life. Focusing on the things you enjoy is essential for reducing overwhelming thoughts. Finally, an excellent suggestion is to banish boredom from your life. One of the main reasons we worry is because we have the time to do so. Instead, kick it out of your life by filling it with things that fulfill you. Key point 9. Master work and money worries. When we are young, we are forced to decide what to do with our lives, finding the career we want to follow. It is a very stressful decision that can cause a lot of anxiety and worry. However, it's important to realize that it's possible to have various jobs and careers throughout a person's life, perhaps failing in some and succeeding in others. The best way to deal with this decision is to listen to what you want, seek reliable advice, and do your best to remain calm about reality. This decision can and probably will change over time. You do not have to get it right the first time. It might take several attempts before settling on the career you want. Another one of the biggest reasons that people worry is money. Most think that if they could increase how much money they earn, their worries would disappear. But this rarely works. The best way is to become smarter with money and create a budget. These steps help. Write down all your income and expenses accurately. Get advice and create an affordable budget. Learn how to spend appropriately and wisely. Don't give yourself a bigger headache by taking on more expenses than you can afford. Build up your credit rating for the future. Insure yourself against emergencies such as fire or illness. Teach your children how to be money savvy. Look into ways of earning money on the side. Avoid gambling at all costs. Money is one of the biggest reasons that people worry and develop anxiety. But is it worth it? Do what you can to improve the situation, realize that you are doing your very best, and stop wishing for things that cannot be. Above all else, do what you can to improve the situation and realize that you're doing your very best. Conclusion. Learning to stop worrying will be the catalyst to changing your life completely. It won't happen overnight, and you will need to work at it. Yet, once you notice changes, celebrate them and continue to focus on the things you need to work on. When you're constantly worrying, you need more time to work toward what you want to achieve. Worrying takes up far more time than you realize, and it also erodes your general health and happiness at the same time. If you constantly feel exhausted when you've done nothing out of the ordinary, the chances are that you're expending energy on unnecessary worry. Understanding that we have control over our thoughts, and therefore our worries, is a light bulb moment. Once you realize how to change those thoughts into positives rather than worry-filled negatives, you will notice a brighter, happier future. In the end, worry might be prevalent, but it's a choice. There is a big world out there, and you're allowing fear to control your life. It's time to free yourself. Try this. Your 5-day worry detox is here. Day 1. Set a phone reminder for 9 p.m. When it goes off, say out loud, "I have enough energy for today." Tomorrow can wait. Then focus only on your evening routine until sleep. Day 2. Write down your biggest current worry. Use this formula. What's the worst that could happen? Accept it completely. Write 3 ways you could improve that scenario. Day 3. When worry hits, immediately do this. 20 jumping jacks, call someone you love, or organize 1 drawer. Keep moving until the worry spiral breaks. Day 4. Pick one. I choose gratitude over complaints, or I focus on solutions, not problems. Every time you catch yourself in old patterns, repeat your chosen phrase. Day 5. Before breakfast, write 5 specific things you're grateful for. Then help 1 person today. Hold a door. Send an encouraging text. Anything. Remember, the world is waiting for the confident, worry-free version of yourself. That's all for now. More intriguing summaries are just a click away.